Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Our first talk show, and what I'd like to do is to explain why all this is happening in the world today, why Matt talks, and how this whole concept came together. If you read this thing on the side, you'll see that more video is being created, and there's a whole creative renaissance that's going on at this point in time, and more video is being created in 1 month than the rest of history put together. And the reason why this is important, it is driving a complete new shift in the way we consume content and the way we consume our information. And that is the primary reason that Nat Talks as a company exists. Today we're going to talk about future boardrooms, because the future boardrooms are going to look like that. They'll have a robot in there for sure, an AI-driven robot. It'll be gender balanced, and it'll be much, much younger. Those are the key drivers of the future, and that's why we have 3 young people here who are our potential board members for the future.
I'm hoping to see companies and having more young people on their boards, and while thinking of their profit, not losing the human touch, not losing the emotions in their work, and I think that's going to define our future.
User insight. We used it for the guys who are 65 years old in the States to understand what's the usability of their actual tech platform. That way you get fast response on what's happening, and you're able to comprehend how people can actually use this product. Using that, they can actually, let's say, edit the future, right? So if you get people to use your product and understanding that they were your demographic, their feedback is the most valuable thing when you're trying to develop a successful one.
I would like to add on to that. I mean, if a company like GE is applying the methodology of the fact that you need to develop the product in a complete suite of applications and then take it to market, I don't think that is a lean approach at all. And I think that a leaner approach to kind of launching products with a similar sort of a beta version, getting feedback, developing it further, getting more feedback, and developing it further so that you can actually understand exactly what the consumer wants, rather than developing something completely, taking it to market, and then you're in a situation where you're not really sure what applies or what doesn't apply. So I'll
add on really quick, just to support my company. But today GE exists in that fashion.
Yeah.
In the future, their boardroom will look a little bit different. I mean, they've let me come into some of these meetings.
When you go in there, do you feel that the oldies are ready for you? Excluding me, of course.
Well, that's why exactly I'm here.
Briar Prestige, she's joining us, and she's one of those amazing young people who is doing so many things. And Briar is a CEO of Deals in High Heels.
Continually learn, ask people all the time for their opinion, their expertise. I just think we've got so much to learn from each other at the end of the day, don't we?
So, 2 great people. Brennan, may I just start with you.
Sure.
and sort of say, well, what inspired you in terms of creating the kind of future of learning concept that we were working together? What was that special source for you?
I think the original idea is that there's so many schools and learning activities that are in boxes, and everyone's isolated doing their own thing. The thought of we could create a platform where people could come together, work together, share ideas, share mistakes.
Jenny, you work with the United Nations, Sustainable Development Goals. You think in 1 billion kids at a time. What are the key drivers that you see at this moment in time in terms of learning challenges, especially for the developing world?
I'm actually trying to work very hard on replicable models of schools, replicable models of educational tools, because I think what we are really short of is the 2 extreme of talent in education.
We have the final segment, which is about the future of fintech. And we're very, very lucky to have 3 amazing people to lead this with us. And then we have 3 amazing people who are the entrepreneurs who are in the front line, who are actually out there in the cold face doing stuff.
For you to have an ecosystem, you need to have talent, and this region has really amazing talent, right? You need to have the money, liquidity. The region has a lot of liquidity. I mean, we export money into the outside world.
Yeah.
You need to have technology, mobile penetration, and all that. We have it all. You need to have banks. We've got huge banks, and we have a lot of banking systems. But what we don't have, and if you look at the gap between MENA region and the global, during the first half of the year, around $50 billion were invested in fintech. 50, okay? In this part of the world, you barely reach 50 million. So what's keeping this region behind? It's actually the ecosystem is not connected.
It's not our job as entrepreneurs and innovators to care about regulation. This is not my job. My job is to disrupt, and their job is to follow up and try to contain it in a box.
Right.
Hopefully they can do that fast enough.
People need technology because it's not being put into play. And you touch on these conversations about the existing dinosaurs of banks not innovating quick enough, and startups who are very eager to innovate but don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And we actually sit right in the middle. We actually sit right in the middle to facilitate that because we have 200 fintech relationships in the region.
Right.
It's a people business. Ultimately, recruitment is a people business. You have to still get a feel for the person in person. What we're doing is cutting down the months. I'm shocked at how long the recruitment process, like there's jobs that have been open for a year, right? So we're cutting down that horrible process where I call it the black hole. It's like the dread, like, oh, I have to hire this person. It's never like, I've never met anyone who says, I love recruiting, I love interviewing. It's almost like they like it when they've identified the person. So we're just trying to get there first. So we're utilizing artificial intelligence right now at that part. Humans are at the beginning and at the end.
We are a robo-advisory, right? We use technology, we use algorithm to assess the risk profile and the client and so on. And we would recommend based on that, we don't do anything. It's the technology all through. But then we noticed that people are still very reluctant to deal with technology, right? They want this human interaction. They want that human face. So that's why now we're actually increasing the number of our financial advisors, because every time we have a client, they're like, okay, great, but who can I talk to? What if something happens? Can I pick up the phone? Like it's very difficult right now to get to that point where we're just saying, okay, artificial learning or intelligence or whatever you want to learn, it's going to take it all and that's it, everything's fixed. People need to still interact with people. So it's good to kind of combine both and rely on technology when it comes to solving certain issues.
Let me tell you a story. So I've started using AI, machine learning, NLP, deep learning, you can name it, a few years back. And one thing I've learned, if you use the technology in the right portion, at the right place, that's when you get the best value out of it. So we do use machine learning, we use AI and all that fancy jargon, but in a different way. So our product is pretty simple. And in 15 years working with 6 banks, starting few businesses, what I've learned, if you keep things simple, this is when you increase the probability of success.
So on that note, I would say these are the pillars, this is the future, this is how we need to think, and this is how a lot of you guys are thinking. I congratulate the startups because I am an advanced startup myself and I know the pain and I know the fun. So kudos to you. Thank you for you to support us. Thank you for you to inspire us with crazy shit. Sorry, I apologize. And thank you to the audience who stuck it out, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Big hand for these people.